the Guthrie-Smith bed, it was always useful because you could do movement without resistance and things like that. So it was always a valuable tool, and it was how to develop it and use it on beds and other pieces of apparatus other than the Guthrie-Smith frame. We had massage, and we used to massage like mad. But I worked with Dina Gardner for a while at Westminster, and she used to teach P&F there. And she always said she could always tell those who had done massage because they had the feeling and they had the hands to support the limbs and knew how to put the pressure on at the right time. So she was a great advocate for people doing massage and having that control, and they were better at P&F. And then it was interesting working with P&F. The OTs got interested in it and started looking at things, and it was at the Royal Holloway, I think, when we went up and they were using their resistance for using limbs, and they were putting things into diagonals, so that because they had heard about this P&F, so they were asking us about that. Electrotherapy comes and goes. Again, it was interesting, the ultrasound. When I first came out here, they were using ultrasound, and the coupling medium was peanut oil. And then an article appeared in the Physio Journal, the British Physio Journal, talking about coupling agents and saying peanut oil was no use at all. It wouldn't allow things to go through, that you had to have the gel or water. And when I suggested this to New Zealand, they said, oh no, peanut oil works all right. And I never believed in ultrasound because, I thought it was far more the pressure that you put on, the attention you gave to them that produced things rather than ultrasound. And then shortwave and infrared and things. Infrared was always a thing that you put on to someone to get them to relax or to occupy time before you got to them. And so I was far more a hands-on physio than apparatus. And then John Lowe came out, who was electrotherapy man, and he wrote a book on electrotherapy, and he was very good at using it. But again, he was circumspect in the way he used it. It wasn't used for everything. And this is the thing that we used to get annoyed with the doctors, because they used to send shortwave massage and exercises. And you thought, oh, God. And I remember at Middlemore, a radiographer who'd been on all night came up and said, oh, I've ripped my neck. I was just seen Mr. McFarlane, and he sent me up for treatment. There it was, shortwave massage and exercises. I said, all right. So I laid him down quietly, put a heat pad underneath him, and he relaxed, and then applied traction and got his head back on top of his shoulders, and he had full range movement and one thing and another. I thought, right, this is where we got to educate these people. So I went down to see Mr. McFarlane and I said, you sent Joe Bloggs out. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't give him shortwave massaging exercises. I put him on a heat pad, applied gentle traction and did some gentle movements, and he's now got his head on top of his shoulders and is very happy, and I've sent him home with a collar to go to bed for the day because he was on night duty. And he was taller than me, and he pulled himself up to his great height and looked down at me and said, not only do you disobey my orders, but you cure the bastard. Right. And so after that, if he had any necks or things down in clinic, he used to send for me and say, do it in front of my very eyes, you see. So I'd try and do something. And then I'll never forget, one day the form came up in an envelope. There was an envelope addressed to Miss Elkin. Opened it up, and there was the blue chit with the diagnosis, and then treatment recommended, witchcraft. And so we had a very good rapport after that, that you could do anything you liked, as long as you let him know what was going on. And he used to call him, and he rang up Trish one day, who was the assistant judge, and he was mumbling away, and she said, I'm sorry, but we can't do that until it's ordered by a physician. He said, who's speaking? He said, it's God here. And And I must admit that when we were at Middlemore, we did have a very good relationship with all the staff then. But when we were dealing with the Department of Education, and we wanted 5 ultrasounds so that we could use them on the students knew how to use them properly. And little man said, well, could you just have one and cardboard models of the others and things? And I just looked at him and I said, you don't expect the secretarial girls to have cardboard typewriters, do you? And he said, no. And so we got them. And so, but those were the little things that used to happen, you know, that not many people knew about because you were battling along and letting the others do the teaching. And again, teaching was, you know, we had to go down to teacher training unit at Wellington. And we were some of the first that ever went down there. And it was hilarious. One of the sessions we had was the use of the blackboard. And we were shown how to season a blackboard with a piece of chalk, thick chalk, and you had to put it all the way across the board and then score it up and down so that the blackboard was covered in chalk and it filled up all the holes of a newly painted blackboard. Then we were told how to clean the blackboard. So in the first instance, go across like that, and then we had to go up and down, and as we came down, tap the duster on the ledge at the bottom. Would you believe that took half an hour teaching to teach us how to season and clean a blackboard? And we were ropeable. I was sent one afternoon to the OT school, and this was at Heratonga, and then to the podiatry school first, and then to the OT school. And the podiatry school was to look at their anatomy classes. And I looked at them, and they were teaching anatomy of the lower limb. And so I asked them, which textbook do you use? They looked at it. We don't use a textbook, we just have the charts on the wall. And this is where they had planned to send us. Went to the OT school, and there was a man said, well, I'm handing back their kinesiology results and their papers. He said, well, all of them have passed. One girl got 73%. And he proceeded to, his model answer was this girl who got the top mark, and proceeded to read to the rest of the class what she had written, but no model answers or anything. And then he said, that didn't take as long as I thought it would, so proceeded to open the textbook and read from it. And by that time I was livid, and I had to walk out and meet one of the tutors and said, had a good day, Fran? And I let him have it and said, no, I have not had a good day. It's been a waste of time. I could be doing far more effective things back up in my own institution, doing better teaching and one thing or another. It's just a waste of time coming down here. I'm fed up to the back teeth. So I said, go and have a drink. Next morning, the tutor in charge of the TTU came. Said, I hear you had a bad experience yesterday, Fran. So I said, yes. And he was a little man, and he was backing me up into the wall, you see. And I'd got heels on. And he'd back me up against this cupboard there was a plinth at the bottom. And so that gave me another 4 inches. So I put my heels on top, and I was looking down on him from a great height with all the rest of the group behind, telling him what had happened and saying it was a waste of time. And he said, we can all learn from negative. I said, well, there are negatives and negatives, but that was very negative, you see. And all the class behind me were killing themselves laughing, you see. But after that was my second stint, because we had to do 3 stints down there. So I claimed exemption from my third and got it. So I was very pleased about that. Because we had to leave the students up at Grafton and put an extra load on other people because we had no one to bring in to do the teaching. And so it was really frustrating.